What's going on YouTube? This is Mario back again another video. So I just want to talk about the 2010s. Why the 2010s don't suck. Video that Wobo did. Wobotnik. His name on YouTube is, but I call him Wobo. And he talked about the 2010s. In a positive way. Just kind of a response to all the criticisms people have over this decade. About this decade being full of tragedies and mass shootings and stuff like that, and bad TV shows. And there are a lot of bad things. There are bad things you could say about 2010s, but one things that I like about 2010s is like social media being more like the internet is more like mature now. The internet has like it's actually practical to make a living off the internet now because of YouTube, because of social media, Facebook, and all that stuff. Because back in the 2000s, 2000s, you had the internet, but the internet was like still kind of new. Like not like people used it like that. Like I remember back in the day, I may use the internet for like flash gaming, or like I watched like some YouTube videos, or watch like anime on like different anime sites. But I didn't really use the internet, you know. I didn't know that you could use the internet and make a living off of it. I knew I didn't really know that you get famous on the internet really. I just thought, he used the internet for like business, or just to play you know a little game, a little flash game online. Like I didn't realize that you can actually make a living off the internet, and that you can actually you know that people actually get famous on like YouTube or something like that. So it is crazy just how far the internet has come over the last 20 years. The fact that we're like the first generation to grow up on the internet, like us who were born, after 1995, we like the first generation to live, to never, knew a world pre-internet. That's crazy to think about. Oh, hey, what's up, Tim? It's crazy to think about that, how far technology has come. Um, but 2010s, there are a lot of things I don't like about 2010s. I don't like the fact that, it's politically divided. I don't like the fact that it's so racially divided. Especially in the last few years, the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that, especially at least in the early 2010s when the recession happened. The early 2010s kind of really ruined everybody's all the optimism. All like optimism. You know, because I remember in 2010 when I was reading comments on YouTube, all you heard was that, man, recession sucks, TV sucks, everything sucks. Like it just really set the tone of what the rest of the decade would be like. With TV, with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network being at its lowest points. Disney Channel was still okay, but I didn't really care about Disney Channel at that point. Um, you know, and wrestling WWE was like really going downhill for me. I was really just getting tired of WWE at the time. So yeah, a lot of things that I liked as a kid was like moving away from me, and it was just like, man, so like I get the fact, and I get the fact why people my age and older hate the 2010s because of the fact that their early childhood classes are gone. I do understand that factor, but you know, I mean, the new generation, they have more options, they have more freedom. They're not just limited to television anymore. They got the internet. They got YouTube. They got other stuff to watch. Yeah, they may not experience some of the things we experience as kids, but at least they have, something they can, hold on to. And they can say, man, I remember when I used to do that when I was like 7 years old. You know, like I taught the kids, who born like 2002, 2003, on a daily basis, because, I go to, my college. Oh, that's Dr. Mario. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, okay. It makes a lot of sense. Hey, what's up, Dr. Mario? So, yeah. Which kind of brings me back to my point. I saw a lot of kids, who were born in those years, 2000, 2003, and like, a lot of them, they kind of remember a lot of stuff from like the late 2000s, stuff that I did as a teenager, like, the dances I used to do when I was, in eighth grade, the songs I used to listen to, you know, like they definitely remember, they definitely remember the pop songs from that decade, from the early part of this decade, stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. They remember the subject. They remember the seven. They grew up in the seventh generation of consoles. So their childhoods are a little different than mine's, but it's still, I could still consider them, 2000s, late 2000s kids, early 2010s kids, however, because they at least experience a little, they see experience like a chunk of the childhood in 2000s, like Rainbows, for example, she's born in 2002, and she remembers a lot of 2000 shows. I was like, what, you watch Night Classified, you watch Zoe 101, you watch all those shows that I used to watch when I was like 10, 11 years old. Like, holy crap, I was so blown away because, those shows came out when she was like a little girl. Like, she was like in kindergarten when those shows ended. And she remember those shows. Like, it's crazy, you know. So, like the last time I seen an episode of Netty Classified or on Nickelodeon was like 2000, late 2007. So like that's how. So like if she remembers that show, that then she must have a pretty good memory, you know. Um, but just to, my point is that 2010s, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of bad things you could say about this decade, with the whole, social media being, with kids being addicted to social media, you know, but political correctness and Donald Trump and you know, Black Lives Matter, mass shootings, all those things that kind of ruined, you know, that kind of ruined people's hopes and dreams. Student loan debt, it's pretty bad in this decade. Like, I mean, student loan debt has been bad, for a long time now, but now it's getting to the point where there's like where people just like canceling college altogether. Like people just saying, what, screw college. Like my age, like people my age are starting are becoming more entrepreneur minded versus just being employee minded because of the fact that you know that hey, college is not the only way out. And like it took a while for people to start realizing that hey, that there's more to success than just getting a 4-year degree. You can still be educated, you can still be, I mean, well read without getting a college degree, and like that's something that my generation, that my generation is, my generation knows because of social internet. I think the best thing about this decade is the internet. Because the internet is at the point where it's no longer just something you do on a computer. It's no longer just something, it's accessible now. It's something you could do on your phone. Like, another thing, smartphones. Smartphones are like something that this decade is going to be definitely going to be remembered for because smartphones, like in the 2000s, owning a smartphone was like was a luxury, but now it's like everybody has one now. Like everybody in America has a smartphone. Like, people are so scared to do some certain things because of we have smartphones now. Before, if you want to make a YouTube video like this, you need a camcorder, you know, we would make YouTube videos. But now you can just use a cell phone or a tablet to make a YouTube video. I mean, so it is crazy how connected we are. That I could talk to people from Ohio, Maryland, Florida, Texas, California, all over the world. Australia, England, Ireland, like all over the world. And with a touch of a button, like it's crazy. So I don't hate the 2010s as much. I don't hate 2010s as much as I used to, because I mean now that I'm starting to be more surrounded by 2010s kids on a regular basis, kids who were born in a, you know, now I'm starting to be more surrounded with 2010s, kids, it's not that bad of a decade. I mean, just the fact that I didn't experience the 2010s as a kid, as a kid. I was in high school. I was already a teenager by the time 2010 started. So my perspective on 2010 is a little different than somebody who experienced it when they're like 7, 8 years old. It wasn't. For me, 2010s was like my teenage slash young adult years. So I didn't really get a chance to really enjoy the good stuff that kids were doing in this decade. I mean, I know that there were some good cartoons this decade, like no doubt. I mean, Gravity Falls is probably one of the best examples of good cartoons that came out this decade. Gravity Falls, um, you know, Adventure Time. Even though I never really got into Adventure Time, I mean, it is kind of funny. I just never really watched it. Maze World Gumball, that's another great cartoon from this decade. You know, um, I mean, Loud House. I mean, Loud House, another good cartoon from this decade. There's some good cartoons from this decade, no lie. Um, but we just overlook the good stuff, because of the negativity, because of the political stuff. We overlook the good stuff that came out of a certain decade because of the negativity, that happened this decade. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it just made me, and just the fact that this 2000 nostalgia is becoming more and more apparent now, it makes you think back, 7 8 years ago when 2000s were just crapped on. It makes you think back to when I was 14 years old, and I'll go on YouTube, I'll go on like different forum sites, and I'll hear people say the 2000s sucks. The 2000s, we had 9/11, we had Bush, we had the recession, we had the Iraq War, we had all these bad things. That's why 2000 sucks. But if you forgot about the 2000s, we had the best. 2000 was like the best decade for, it was a decade when you had, it was the best decade for like movies, one of the best decades for movies. It was one of the best decades for music. Like, I mean, for hip hop and R&B, at least, like urban music was like at its peak during the 2000s. I mean, you had hip hop, which was like hip hop was on top of the world, in 2000s. Like, this is when it was normal. It was starting to become normal when to see a white person get into rap. 2000s was also the decade where Disney Channel. I mean, people talk about the 90s. They say Cartoon Nick, but Disney Channel was huge in 2000. And there was some good shows on Disney Channel in 2000, like Kim Possible and Proud Family and Lizzie McGuire. Like, it was so many good shows on Disney Channel 2000s, but people forget about that or just say, oh, well, that's from the 90s. This was good, but it came in 2003, but it's a 90s show to me because it was good. And like I'm just like, bruh, it's just like the fact that 2000 has some good stuff. Nickelodeon was still good that decade. I mean, we had Jimmy Neutron, we had Avatar. You know, I mean, we still had Saturday morning cartoons. Like, people forget about Saturday morning cartoons was still a thing in the 2000s. Um, Pokemon, while Pokemon kind of declined after Generation 2, it was still pretty popular. It's still like the fact that Pokemon's still around today, and it came out when I was a baby, and that is still around. It came out when I was in diapers, bro. Like, I mean, that's still around and people still playing it. It's just like, bruh, like, people are just nostalgia towards. That's all. Like, the internet. That's one of the bad things about the internet is that people get nostalgic. Like, when people get nostalgic about stuff, they just like rub it in people's face. Like, see, you kids these days don't know what it's like to play this game. You kids don't know what it's like the struggle of waiting a game to load on or use the memory card or stuff like that. It's just, what I mean. Like, I mean, yeah, sometimes it's fun to like, remember. I can't talk reminisce of the past, but like, dude, grow up, chill. Like, ain't that serious, yo. Like, come on, you know. Like, that's one thing I hate about the nice kids things because, like, people our age try to become nice kids because they were so, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, like one thing I hate about 90s kids nostalgia, was that it made people my age so insecure about being a 2000s kids where anybody born in the 90s is automatically considered 90s kids. I mean, I'd be told the 99 borns and they be saying I'm a 90s kid because I was born in 1999. I'm like, bruh, you wasn't even walking when 2000 hit. Like, bruh, chill. Like, you was still being breastfed. Like, bruh, you know, I mean, bruh. Like, it's crazy when 99 borns relate more to people my age than you do to a 2000 born. Even though I'm like, even though a 1996 born would, 1999 born would have been like only would have been a baby when like 2001 hit. Like, they were, a baby on the early 2000s, but yet they relate more to us mid 90s borns. They do early 2000s borns. Granted, not 1999 borns are old enough to are legal adults now, but still, even like when they were like 15 and 16, they would never like I be told the 99 borns on like N Zeros or Poppedia, and they would always and they'd be saying that, oh well, we're not like these kids born 2001, 2002. We relate more to y'all, and I'm like, okay, well that's cool. I understand why they relate more to us because they want to be with the older kids, but like you know, I mean, like you guys were pretty young in the 2000s. You guys were like pretty young in 2000s. Like you guys weren't even teenagers in the 2000s. Like at least us midnight borns, we were like already teens in 2000s. Whereas, but yet you crap on the 2000s babies for being addicted to your cell phones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. It's true. Like it's true, Dr. Murray. It's true. Because like I talk to 97 babies and I tell the kids, 97, 98 babies, they be saying, I'm a millennial. And I'm like, okay, well, you're kind of a millennial, I guess. I guess, you're kind of millennial, but you don't really fit the true millennial characteristics because, that's what, another thing about this generation I hate 2010s. 2010s, everybody who's like born in like the 80s and 90s are considered millennials. I miss the term Generation Y. Like, why people just get away with that label altogether? Like, because in the 2000s, if you were born, if you were a millennial, you would call Generation Y, aka aka you've been a generation who basically being part of the millennial meant that you grew up, that you remember like 2000. You remember no, like you came of like the 2000s to you were like your coming of age era versus being this is just being born in that decade, Yeah. I understand why, but Generation Y, millennial, it just like the reason why I hate the term millennial because when people say millennial, they always think of like kids. They always think of like 20-year-olds, but like people don't realize that millennials, there are millennials who have jobs, who have careers, who have kids, who have families. Like I know, like most people who claim about millennials are millennials themselves. I'm like, bruh, this is why I misterm because when you say Generation Y, they think, oh, well, you're an 80s baby. When you say Generation Y, that means you're born like 1985, 1986, aka the original definition of millennial. Like you was born, like you remember 2000, you remember the internet when it was dial up. Like that's what millennial used to mean. Like used to mean that you remember the 90s, that you remember a pre 2000 world, you remember 9/11. That's what being a millennial used to mean back in the day. But now being a millennial just mean you're young and inexperienced. That's what people say millennial is. But I digress. I've been rambling too long. But yeah, thank you, Dr. Mari, for watching this video. Wobo, I'm not sure you're watching this, but this is just a real response to your video. I agree with you. The 2010s doesn't suck as bad as people make it seem. It sucks the fact that we had so much tragedy. It does suck that we had to deal with so much of this chaos going on in the world. Like, it does suck, that you kids, who grew up in this decade had to experience all this, while you guys were like young, so young, but at least you guys are more smart than we were. You guys have better technology. You guys, can whip out your cell phone and just talk to people from another part of the world. Whereas with us, we had to use our flip phones, and we was limited to minutes on our cell phone. Yeah, yeah, I will not miss those days. I love some of the old phones I grew up with, but like I don't miss those days where it was so hard to text people. I do not miss those days. I do not miss those days. Oh man. Well, 2016 election. Jesus Christ, that election. Well, I just say I wrote for Hillary, and that I wrote in that election. But anyway, thank you, Dr. Mario. Sign off.